We watch currency exchange rates fluctuate every single day. A dollar buys a certain amount of euros, yen, or pounds at breakfast, and a completely different amount by dinner. It looks completely arbitrary, but underneath all that daily chaos, there is a strict mathematical gravity pulling those numbers toward a true value. To see how this gravity works, we start with a simple rule called the law of one price. Imagine a basic commodity, let's call it product X. In country Y, it costs exactly $100. Over the border, in country Z, the exact same item sells for $110. If it costs less than $10 to ship that product across the border, traders have an immediate guaranteed loophole. They can buy up the cheaper stock in country Y, ship it, and sell it at a premium in country Z, pocketing the difference. But that loophole closes itself. The sudden rush to buy the cheaper product drives its price up, while flooding the other market with new stock forces that higher price down. They keep squeezing toward each other until the prices match. Human self-interest acts as a natural enforcement mechanism. Traders chasing an easy profit will inevitably force identical goods to cost exactly the same amount, no matter where they are sold. This logic applies even when the goods aren't perfect identical clones. Real-world consumer products face the exact same pressure. Take a standard case of domestic American beer. The price you pay establishes a local baseline for what a beer should cost. An imported competitor from Japan is slightly different, but it's close enough that its price is anchored to that domestic baseline. It can't stray too far from the going market rate. If the price of the import suddenly shoots up to double or triple the cost of the domestic option, buyers will simply abandon the import and buy the local brand instead. Basic consumer choice acts as a ceiling. Because buyers will easily substitute one similar product for another, wildly divergent prices for comparable goods cannot survive across borders. When economists take this local law of prices and apply it to entire national economies, they call it purchasing power parity, or PPP. The theory makes a very specific prediction. Over the long run, exchange rates between currencies have to adjust to reflect the overall changes in a country's price levels. Consider how inflation impacts trade. If a country experiences higher inflation than its trading partners, its goods start to look too expensive to the rest of the world. International buyers back away, and demand for those goods plummets. To compensate for those high local prices and keep exports attractive on the global stage, that country's currency must appreciate. A weaker currency makes the high-priced goods cheaper for foreign buyers. Mathematical differences in inflation directly dictate exchange rate movements, ensuring that purchasing power remains balanced across international borders. We can test this theory against historical data. By tracking the economies of Great Britain and the United States between 1975 and 2005, we can see exactly how PPP handles reality. During that 3-decade window, the British economy experienced significant inflation. Overall prices in the UK rose by nearly 205%. In that same period, American prices rose by about 142%. That means British inflation outpaced American inflation by a distinct 44% margin. Just as the theory predicted, the British pound steadily weakened against the US dollar to compensate for that growing inflation gap. But the numbers don't align perfectly. The pound only depreciated by 22%, exactly half the 44% gap dictated by the inflation difference. Purchasing power parity got the long-term direction right, but the real world distorted the final math. That missing 22% reveals something important. Certain real-world obstacles actively prevent currencies from perfectly matching inflation rates. The biggest obstacle is the existence of non-tradable goods. You might be able to find a great 50-cent haircut in Malaysia, but that price doesn't affect the global market. You can't buy a cheap haircut in Kuala Lumpur and resell it at a premium in New York. The thousands of dollars and days of travel required instantly wipe out any chance of profit. This chart outlines the other long-run variables. Government tariffs, caps on imported goods, and shifts in national productivity permanently alter the relative cost of goods, forcing the domestic currency to either appreciate or depreciate independent of standard inflation. Physical geography, travel constraints, and protectionist government policies will always warp the frictionless mathematical model. Look at this graph tracking the rand to dollar exchange rate over just a few weeks. The short-run reality of currency markets is violent and volatile, full of sudden spikes and dips. In the short run, currencies aren't reacting to the cost of consumer goods. They are bouncing around based on the immediate noise of investor expectations, panic, and minute adjustments to domestic and foreign interest rates. But when you zoom out and look at the data over decades, the daily panics and the fractional rate tweaks average each other out. Purchasing power parity won't give you a flawless, down-to-the-penny calculation for tomorrow's trading floor, but it acts as an undeniable economic tide, eventually forcing global exchange rates to reflect the true cost of living.